Welcome, everybody. It's an absolute pleasure to have Immy Gangji with us today. And now I have to say something. We were just bantering here, and Immy Gangji is probably one of our longest standing, consistent top producers over and over and over again. And it speaks to your consistency of implementation. But you've also got some war stories now. A story from the trenches. And Immy is also probably best known for being the snappiest dresser in the office, but outstanding, so genuine, so easy to get along with, and willing to share and give back. And so, Immy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So to start, just because you are a little bit of a real estate institution, talk a bit about your story. How long have you been doing this?
Actually, it's a funny story, I must say. The journey began 1990 March. What actually happened was my wife had actually enrolled originally to become a realtor. And I was a professional waiter at the time. I'd been doing that for 12 years. That was my chosen career. That was not a job, it was a career for me. 2 days before the course started, she backed out. She said, "I'm sorry, I don't want to go through with this. It's already paid for. You have to go do it."
No.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, that's exactly how it started.
Were you mad at her?
Yeah, kinda, of course, because I was happy doing what I was doing. I said, that was my chosen career as a professional waiter. That was my chosen career, and I worked at some really snazzy places in Calgary.
And it's funny. We don't have time to get into this, but when you say professional waiter, the stories that I've heard from you, I didn't realize what that meant until I've heard about who you've been selected to work for and brought in for occasions. And that's, if any of you ever see me in another setting, ask him about it, because you have some amazing stories.
Yes.
Anyway, so you go to real estate school not wanting to.
So not wanting to, and of course, I was totally overwhelmed. Back to the school setting after I don't know how many years of being out of school. And so 3 weeks later, back then it was a 3-week course. We did that at the Real Estate Board downtown on 6th Avenue, or 5th Avenue, I should say. Yeah. And 3 weeks, and a week later, so essentially in May, I was a fully licensed realtor.
Now, were you committed to it, or were you like?
I had no choice. I had to get in. And at the same time, we just had our son was about 8-9 months old at the time. So that also allowed us to kind of deviate from my, not necessarily 9-to-5 job, but 2 different shifts. And so I said, okay, that might help us spend some more time with our son.
Wow.
So got right into the, as you call the trenches immediately.
What a cool thing though, because I bet you what you've learned in the service industry. I mean, this is a service business.
Totally.
Would you say that it helped you?
Very much.
That's
very much. Yeah, very much. Because, when you meet clients or realtors, you're dealing with people no matter what, and they're all different. I mean, you could meet 5 different clients and they have total 5 different personalities. Yeah. And that's in my service industry, that helped me a lot. Yeah. Every table was different than the other.
Yeah. In this conversation, we want to talk about the art of the deal and more of like, and you nailed it right away, because it's people that are part of the deal. So so coming on 28 years in real estate. 28 years, congratulations.
I'm just looking at that's your 25-year CREB pin.
Yes.
Yeah, wow. That's outstanding.
Years. 28 full-time, continuous 28 years.
That's unbelievable. Yeah. I actually have a black mark in my record because I actually took a year off.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm in my 15th year, but my CREB is like, CREB says like you're more like 14 or 13, depending on how we do it.
Thank you, Lord.
So take us on this journey. You've done deals with hundreds of different types of people. Let's take it from the client perspective right now. How do you deal with difficult clients? Tell us about sort of your approach to it, because we have people that want to list too high. We have people that just want to play hardball. We have people that are just right upset. I can't imagine the stories you have.
Oh, actually, I must say, I've been seriously, honestly, I've been extremely blessed. When I thought of that to tell you, just as you were telling me, I'm trying to go back And it's hard for me to remember, actually, a difficult client.
Really?
I have to interrupt Immy.
Please.
So you, and because I know you, and you know, you and I were having a conversation about this last week, and you might mention this about realtors, but you never not go to someone's level when they need you to be there.
That's the most important thing, yes.
So when I think about you saying that you haven't had a difficult client, in 28 years, it's impossible. I don't believe you. And I think that you are just so good, and maybe that's something that we should talk about. Just you're extremely empathetic, you're an extremely good listener, and you're a problem solver. And I bet a lot of that leads to not be able to think of an incredibly bad situation. I don't know if you're the type of person that could let something get to that point.
You know, you hit the nail on the head. I think listening is the art of the deal itself. If you're able to listen to the needs of, be it a client or a realtor, if you are able to focus on that and look at what the end result for that client is or that realtor is, you're, I think, 80% already. The deal is already 80% done, in my opinion. And as you said earlier, I've dealt with realtors that are, you know, unfortunately in our business, or I should say fortunately in our business, we have a lot of really, really, really good realtors.
Absolutely.
Been in the business a long time.
Yep.
They have been a long time. There's no arrogance or anything like that. But then there are some that will just tell you exactly, look, I've been in the business, 10 years. I said, I had an example. In November, I had a realtor that I dealt with, and right off the bat, I've been in the business a long time. And I would just kind of ask him, so how long have you been? Oh, 10 years. I said, oh, wow. Then please take it easy with me because I'm kind of new.
Yeah.
So the minute you bring them down or bring yourself to their level, the walls are torn down.
One of my favorite sayings lately is that empathy leads to adaptability.
Yes.
And
Totally.
exactly what you said about the listening.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you say, okay, what's this person's end goal?
Yeah.
And if you can visualize yourself in those shoes, and then now you can adapt and act accordingly.
I've just last week I was speaking with some realtors and said, well, we're just talking off topic about how many houses have you shown a client or whatever, and 150 over 2 years. I said, oh my God, if I go beyond 15 houses, I think I'm doing something wrong.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, I 15 houses and haven't showed you anything you like. Either we go back to the office or fire me. There's something wrong, something I'm not doing that's right, or you're not telling me what you want.
Let's take that a specific example just for 1 second. I want to play into this because a lot of realtors struggle with that.
Yes.
They just show houses till they're blue in the face, and their attitude of it is that, well, you know what? I'll show them as many as they need, and that's okay, except for you're no longer honoring their time either.
That's correct.
And so, what do you do to find out what the client wants? How do you filter that down?
So my rule is first 5 houses. If I'm not able to find them the right house in the first 5 houses, I'm back to the drawing board and I'm bringing them back to the office, and I'm sitting them in front of the MLX system, our matrix, and asking them, okay, what is it that we haven't seen in these 5 houses that you're looking for? Okay, so then let's go and find out, what does your house look like? And you write it down on a piece of paper and then you show them. Yes, there's no such thing as a perfect house. You can't even build a perfect house. But you got to come close to it if you listen.
Yeah.
That's it. And sometimes you might have to guide them a little bit depending on their budget. Their budget might be here and their expectations are here.
Never happens.
That never
happens.
happens. Very rarely.
I like that. I really like that though, because you're right. It'd be easy to add another 10 homes to the list.
Very easy.
But if you've missed the mark on something, to say
you're just continuously doing the same thing and just going around, spinning your wheels around, but not moving anywhere.
I mean, people's real estate businesses are like that. It's like, you implement for your first 6 months and you're not getting the results you want, or you've had a bit of a drought for a while, and it's time to take yourself back to the office and do the same thing. And I love what you said there about clients, because it's that feedback loop of you implement, you adjust. You implement, you adjust, and realtors just get caught up in that. And I love what Kirsten brought up of the standpoint of, well, if you understand your clients, maybe they're not that difficult. Maybe you have to come to their level.
I think that's what it is. If you listen And what you said, the word adapt,
Yeah.
I think you're already there.
Yeah.
Just listen.
So you don't try to change people.
No, of course not, because you're not going to live with them.
Yeah.
It's their home.
Yeah.
You want to make them feel at home. And when you give the keys to them to open the door on possession date, well, the smile will tell you.
If that's their home or not.
Exactly. Yep.
Immy, the people that you've worked with, people whose collective income would be $60,000 a year, and you've worked with people whose collective incomes would be $10 million a year or more. And you are, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're willing to work with a lot of different people.
You don't have a choice. In this, if you're gonna, how do I put it? If you're going to segregate people from, well, I don't only want to work with this client or this client, I don't think you will last in the
Or
business.
discriminate on it. Yeah.
Well, and that's what I wanted to ask, because I know that there's some people that say, I don't really want to work with first-time home buyers, or I want to focus on luxury properties only.
Yes.
But throughout your career, there isn't a single person you haven't worked with, and there isn't a single type of property that you haven't sold. Is there, going from all of those different walks of life, I mean, you're a very humble person. You don't see anything like that. How is it adapting to completely different situations all of the time?
Realtors, I think we would do well if we had a psychology degree.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, if you're dealing with people every single day, and guess what psychologists do with people every single day.
Absolutely.
Right? That's all they do. And so if you put yourself in their shoes every time you meet someone, goal's established.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, you're done. Yeah, if you're able to, the word again you used was adapt to their needs or their wants. If you're able to adapt to their personality, I think you're in.
So do you find that you do the same when you're on the phone with, a lot of realtors in town, obviously, because you've done a lot of business, which is probably helpful.
Yes.
But when you're working with another realtor, do you kind of take the same approach? Like, I'm going to adapt to, like, my personality doesn't quite matter.
Yes.
Your personality matters, which is interesting in real estate, because there are a lot of egos. There's a lot of entrepreneurs. So, and a lot of people are like, no, like, this is me, this is it.
Yes.
And that's not your approach.
Never has been. Never has been. My head will fit in any door.
Which is
awesome.
which is beautiful, and I bet that has probably helped. That's probably helped with a lot of deals. When you look at other realtors and kind of it's the 11th hour, and stuff's hitting the fan, and someone is a real pain on the other end of the phone. What are some strategies that you've used to pull deals like that together in the final hours?
And that's happened a lot, no question about it.
Yeah.
They might be following their clients'
instructions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And and I'm following my client's instruction, depending I'm on the buyer side or the seller side. So yes, you come to an impasse at one. Sooner or later, not every deal goes together.
That's right.
And some have not, and you just walk away. If that's what it needs to be, then you walk away. But of course, when you've come so far, you've worked all day, maybe all night on one particular, and you're only like $1,000 apart, and it's happened before that, $1,000 can do it sometimes.
Greater deal.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's happened. But sometimes, when you're so close, you just got to sit back and say, okay, what do we need to put this together? And then just the important thing is find out what is required to make this happen.
Yeah.
What is required? That's it. Ask the question.
This is putting you on the spot. Can you think of an example like that where at the end, where something that brought it together was so silly or so small, but like that's all that it took? Put it this way. Let me ask you: is losing a deal over a stove a big deal? Wow.
Yeah. That's how close it came. That's how close it came to lose a deal over a stove.
It's like an $800 appliance.
Yeah, it was actually that one was a little bit higher end, and that's probably the buyer wanted it, and the seller wanted to keep it, and all that. And so, there's 4 parties to every transaction: the seller, the buyer, listing agent, buyer's agent.
Yeah.
There are 4 parties to every transaction.
A lot of emotion with that.
Exactly. And everybody's rooting for their own sides, right? So suddenly 4 parties, but there's 2 sides. There's always one side, the other side, and the happy side. and you just got to bring it together.
How do you get around that? So the stove
Yeah.
becomes, I mean,
Yeah.
I've been in that situation many times
Sure.
where, you're now negotiating over this fridge
Yeah.
and it was
Appliances.
emotional as a wedding gift. And
Yes.
you're just like, really, what?
That's exactly what it was.
And you're
Believe
like-
it or not, that's exactly what it
It
was.
was it?
Yeah, that's what it was. Well, we got this as a wedding gift.
Yeah.
Well, how long ago? Well, it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Really? Do you still?
Yeah, you're not
are
even
you
with the
still
person.
attached
I'm
to
just-
them? But you're married to each other, not to the stove.
That's right.
And so that's how we managed to.
Perspective.
Yeah, just tell them, look, you're married to each other, right? Are you really actually married to the stove? That's how I went about it.
Psychology degree paid off.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all it
So
is.
we've heard of some realtors kind of, when you said $1,000, this $1,000 one, I've heard of some agents say, both realtors in a situation like that will be like, you know what, I'll just throw in $500 of mine and $500.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so
I'm obviously not a realtor, but when I
Yes.
hear that, sometimes I think it's so great that you're making this work,
yes.
and then part of it is like, should you be doing that? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
So every transaction is a different transaction. So if you, let's say if you worked with a buyer for, let's say, 3 months, and you've done a lot of work with them and said, geez, you know what, am I going to walk away from this deal for $500? So in other words, a piece of pie is better than no pie at all. Or, I've worked really hard for every dime I'm going to make on this deal.
Yeah.
And then also think about that, if you're going to give that $500, that's $500 less in your income that might be enough to put the roof over your head or food on the table for
Totally.
your children or for your family, things like that. You look at it differently. I'm not saying that do not do that, but don't always just say, okay, well, I'll throw in this and I'll throw in
The
that.
solution isn't always to just,
That's
sometimes
it.
you just need to walk away
Yeah,
and be
walk
okay
away.
with it.
I've done that. Walk away.
I bet that's hard.
Yeah, walk away. Yeah, you know what? If you understand your client well, you can walk away and sell them something else.
Yeah,
That's
that's
all it
true.
is. Yeah, and I've walked away, and next day you get a call from the listing agent and say, hey, listen, okay, let's put it together. Because
Yeah.
they have had night to think about this. If, are we walking away from $1,000? We've got a buyer finally that's ready to, willing, ready, willing, and able to buy. What is $1,000?
And from your standpoint, I guess that's just confidence and a long-term perspective
Yes.
of
Yes.
having to think like, I have to think past this 1 hour
Yes.
where this money is on the line.
Yes.
And just to know that
Just-
there's another day and this
There
will
is
be-
another day, another house, another deal. Yeah.
I'm totally going off script now.
Script.
So tell me about negotiation for a second here.
Yeah.
And what I want to chat about is when you first have that offer and you say, we're bringing you an offer, tell me about how you frame it, how you set it up. And because I think setting the tone to start the transaction, like the first time maybe you booked a showing, but you've really communicated the person, might have been over showing time or something. Now you're on the phone with the person. How do you set the tone?
Am I buyer's agent or listing
Start with
agent?
the buyer's agent.
So if I'm a buyer's agent, I'm sitting with the buyer, writing the offer and communicating with the agent. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So I'll just call the agent, hey, congratulations, I have an offer for you. That's the minute you start with that, they know that we've worked hard enough to put it there.
Yeah,
Him or she may not look at it, oh, congrats, big deal, let me take a look at the offer first.
totally.
And then you explain to them, look, I'm taking instructions from my buyer. It might be a low ball offer, and that's okay. Because if I'm on the listing agent side and you're telling me that you have an offer for me, I'll go sit with my sellers and I say, listen, I don't know what the offer is, but whatever it is, we have 50% chance that we'll do the deal because there's an offer on the table. But if there's no offer on the table, we have this much percentage chance of closing the deal.
You know what?
So true.
What's nice about that too is you're right. Like you can be instantly upset that you have a lowball offer,
Yeah.
or you can be happy that you have an offer,
have an
that
offer.
you didn't have 10 minutes ago, and that's the
Exactly.
starting point.
That's it. The minute you, congratulations, I have an offer for you. Yeah, never mind. What is the offer? So
Yeah.
did you hear me? Congratulations. And
Yeah.
then you sort of kind of break the ice and you talk, okay, where do you want to meet up? Or do you want me to email it to you and this and that? And then you just tell them a little about your clients and where they're coming from or why is that price. And if you think you are solid on your price, then you send CMA with that and say, this is why we've come up with this price.
Yeah.
And is that something that you'll do often? Is
All the time.
you'll send the full-on proof as to this is where
All the
this has
time.
come from?
All the time. Yeah. Back in when I started, I would actually meet the listing agent
That's right.
and the seller and on the
present your
table,
offers.
present the offer.
Yep. Wow.
Oh yeah, here, this is who I am. These are who my clients are. And you talk and you wait in the car and get the deal done right there. And there's no emails, there's no cell phones at the time when I first started, so it was a little pager going off, beeping off. Oh, get me some more milk, things like that.
God.
Stuff like that.
Wife had to pay
yeah,
your
of
number.
course.
Yeah.
That's what it was. But yeah, we went through that too.
So tell me when a realtor gets heated on the other side because they're unhappy with something, they feel slighted.
Yes.
How do you respond to that?
A lot of times it's best if there is actually, okay, so don't always give in the fact that, he's temperamental, so you got to go down to that level. No, of course not. I mean, you're worth as much as he is or she is.
Totally.
So maybe it's best to say, okay, you know what, let's just close our conversation right now and let's talk in about an hour. Give him some time to cool off and
Smart.
and yourself to cool off and phone back in an hour and say, okay, where were we? Let's start.
And does that seem to help when you
All
do
the
that?
time. All the time.
Wow.
It also helps me too, because I'm also now all frazzled. Do I want to continue with that conversation? Because I know that it's not going to get us anywhere. The end result is to sell the house, to make a deal work for the buyer or the seller, whomever you're representing. And so good to walk away for about an hour. Go have a glass of water or something like that. Talk something different. And within that hour, don't discuss real estate.
Yeah.
I think it's best just to let your mind wander somewhere else or phone a buddy and go for a quick drink or something like that. And then phone back and say, okay, let's start. Here's my offer. What do we want to do?
There's a lot of people today who, and it's crazy, but you never speak to somebody over the phone. It's text messages and it's emails, and then somewhere maybe at the end there's, and we should talk to those people about how to deal with difficult transactions because they'd probably have more because they've never actually spoken to somebody. You make a very big effort.
Always.
Like that is your thing. Like you want to have a conversation.
I'm a pen and paper kind of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I will go and see my clients with an offer. If you send me an offer, I'll print that offer up and I'll go and see my clients. I don't do DocuSign or whatever else that's on the market.
Yeah.
I'm
I've
not
had to sign Repri, yeah.
There's nothing. I don't have anything like that. I'll go pen and paper always.
And how often will you? I mean, I guess in terms of the negotiation, all this is always done over the phone with realtors. Do you find that when you initiate that there's a lot of realtors on the other end who almost aren't prepared to have a big conversation because they're not used to it?
For conversation over the phone?
Yeah.
I think, but that's what they are used to, though. They are used to having a conversation over the phone, whereas a lot of them, there's some, believe it or not, I'll make them actually come to the house. Yeah, if they're close by the listing, where my listing is, I'll get them to come over.
And does that make a difference?
Big difference.
I bet.
Big difference. I mean, yes, granted, I've got experience, so I can read faces on how badly does that person want that deal to go through.
Yeah.
And I've done that. My sellers have accepted the offer at a certain point, and yet I was able to get another $1,000, $1,500 just because I could read that facial expression from that.
It also changes and diffuses situations because they don't become the faceless other.
Yes.
And they talk about that in Ninja, but that is that's not unique to Ninja. That's just a natural.
Yeah, I think it's important when you're not selling. I mean, okay, in today's world of Amazon, or whatever online, you can buy a suit without really trying it. But really,
Yeah.
you go to the store and try it. So you're selling a house.
Totally.
You're not going to buy a car without test driving it. You're going to go by yourself. You're going to go yourself there and do it. So why not do that for your client?
That's so great, Immy. Yeah. So, bit of an old school approach, but speaking of old school approach, transition a little bit. 28 years, and when we were speaking earlier, and Lindsey brought it up, you've always done well.
Grace of God.
Yeah, but well, you're so humble, but you've always done well, and you would say, as back in the early 2000s, whatever it was, you would see certain people get into the business. You've been with CIR forever, so specifically at CIR, and you would look at our different offices, and so would be, the top 5 this month, and then the top 5 or the top year overall. And you mentioned, you'd see a couple people here flare up, or maybe for 6 months, or maybe 1 year or 2 years. but there was only ever a select, and I think that this is similar in all brokerages because I follow top producer trends too.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
It only seems to be that there's a few handfuls of people that are really in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone would go into any business or sacrifice the time and effort to think that they'd only like to be successful for 2 years.
No, they want to, of course not. Right?
But it doesn't seem to work out. So speak a little bit about what it takes to just have longevity with success in this industry.
So if you remember from the onset, I said I was a professional waiter as a career.
Yes.
If you get into real estate as a job, you won't last very long.
Or you're going to try it out. I'll try this.
Yeah, it's a job. Let me see how it is.
See how it goes.
And if you always, every transaction, your pocketbook comes first before anything, you won't last in this business. First of all, it's got to be a career and has to be a business. You're a businessman. You are a CEO of your own company. If you think outside the box like that, I think the longevity will automatically come. And that's how I've always thought. And at the end of the day, yes, people come, people go, people come, people go. Still, if you consistently do what you do every day, and if you've been successful at it, keep doing it.
So what are some of the things that you have done every day and you still do every day? Obviously business changes, but what are a few fundamental staples for you?
So before I answer that question, the only thing I remember from my real estate course 28 years ago is one of the instructors had mentioned to us, when you go out on the field, you'll meet 3 kinds of realtors. You'll meet realtors who make things happen. You'll meet realtors who see things happen. And then you'll meet realtors who wondered what just happened. So you just want to, which group do you want to belong to?
That's so funny.
So if you figure out which group you belong to, that will create success.
That's great.
Yeah.
So obviously you're part of the make things happen group.
He's a mover and a shaker.
You're a mover and a shaker.
Well, if I think adaptability to your clients, adaptability to the other agents, to the industry itself, and have a lot of respect for what you do, because it's not a job. It's a career. You can change 5 jobs in a day. How many careers can you change?
Yeah.
You can't, and you've really had a career for the 28 years that you've been here.
Yes.
So I remember there was a time where you said you used to have a house full of assistants that worked in your basement.
Yes.
Obviously, there's a lot of technology, some brokerage tools and stuff that help with some of that now.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is there any part of your business now that you feel you still need that, or have you kind of created your own systems that have replaced a bit of that?
I created my own system from day one, actually. So I don't, I'm not a technologically advanced realtor. Like I said, I'm still pen and paper type of guy. However, we always do need to follow what the market trend is all about. And I'm not talking real estate, I'm talking about how business happens out there. Even though the end result is selling a house. It's no different than it was 50 years ago, and it won't be any different 50 years from today. Selling is one thing, but getting there and getting all the education is most important. And I believe the brokerage that we are with we're very blessed. That's for sure.
So it's great that you said that, because you actually don't need a lot more education.
No, not in selling, yes.
But you are continuously opening yourself to educational opportunities.
Have to. If you think that you're done studying, regardless of what field you're in, doctor or mechanic or a waiter or a realtor, if you think you're done studying, better look for another career.
Yeah, it's so true. You've been such a perpetual learner in
you
your
have to continuously learn.
Yeah. And a giver for that. So let me take you back. So two different types of realtors. You have someone who's brand new and experienced, and so now, what advice would you give? And we've asked of some of our past guests. What advice would you give an experienced realtor who's run off their feet, doesn't know how to have that balance, and I hate the word balance, because when the way is clear, you step on the gas.
Oh yeah.
The next year it might not be clear.
That's correct.
Then you can rest.
Well,
So
make hay while the sun shines.
That's right. That's and it's true. It's true in real estate. I mean, people that come up to me, they're like, "Oh, I'm going away. I got this great trip in April," and you're just like, "I'm sorry, what? In April? Like, do you know when the business happens?" So Okay, so tell us
Yes.
how you keep your head above water when you're super busy.
You know, when you're extremely busy in that way, don't walk away from sharing the wealth. Share the wealth, and it'll come back to you 100-fold.
What do you mean by that?
Refer it to other realtors.
Love it.
Refer it to other
Love
realtors.
it. You're getting sign calls.
Yeah.
It's like,
Refer it to other realtors. You know, not every realtor will say, I'm good at everything.
Yeah.
There's no such thing, because you specialize in certain things. I'm very good with sellers. I've been always a listing agent more than a buyer's agent. So if I get a sign call that may not necessarily be my forte, just refer it to somebody from your office that perhaps is newer, is more enthusiastic than you are at the time, and so refer it out. It's okay, just collect your referral fee, but you'll make people happy, right?
Love it.
You'll get them started, and they'll remember you.
oh,
And
absolutely.
you've done a lot. You've done a lot of that. You've referred out a lot of business.
Yes, lots of times. And you know, it's a funny thing. A lot of realtors, when they first came into the business in CIR, referred the business. Now they've got themselves established. When they come across a buyer, Immy, what listings do you have?
Yeah.
And so it comes back.
Really?
Yeah, it comes back.
It's totally true.
Yeah.
Plus just your mental health and
Of course.
and 25, 35, 50% of something is better than nothing.
Piece of pie.
Yeah,
Well, it's
absolutely.
also better than doing a bad job for somebody because
Yeah.
you just don't have the mental capacity
Yeah,
to do
you know,
the
you
job
say, I'm not
properly.
even a buyer's agent, but you know, I don't want to lose this buyer. I'm going to go and show it. Well, you know, what attitude are you going? You're already going with a negative attitude. That's going to show to the buyer.
So
That's
Immy,
going to show up. Yeah.
you have a new realtor now. What advice would you give them?
In today's marketplace, in today's realtor, I think technology is very important. So go out there and get yourself, I guess, abreast with all the social media. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's where everything is happening. Do the open houses. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, it's still go back to the basics.
I love it. Yep.
Open houses, open houses, open houses. Yeah, can't walk away. You can't just walk in and say, oh, I got 5 listings. It's not going to happen.
No.
You'll have to get a few buyers coming to your open houses. And you remember, it's not always buyers that walk into your open houses. There's also potential sellers who might be interviewing you that you might not know. So always be at your best because that might be your next seller.
Yeah.
And continue. But in my opinion, open housing is the first way to keep going to meet new clients. And also social media marketing.
You know, we've been to, and you're going to come next year, but we've been to a lot of conferences where you have people who have done, you know, literally 400 deals last year.
Yes.
Right, with a team of 10, like
God.
crazy people. They've been in the business forever. And you ask these people, you know, if you had to give an agent advice on how to get more business, you know, what would, and they started their story, and their stories typically starts with, I sat open houses.
Exactly.
And
That's-
anybody
that'll
for new
never
people-
go away.
No, it'll never go away.
People want to see houses. It's like if I move into a place, I want to smell it. I want to feel it. I want to be there.
Yeah, people will come. Yes, you also have your nosy neighbors.
Yeah,
But
totally.
don't think as a nosy neighbor, because down the road,
1 in 25
Stay in
of them will,
touch.
and 1 in 25 of them will
stay
sell
in
the next
touch.
year.
Whoever
Yeah.
walks
Yeah.
in, yeah, I'm just down the street. Oh, really? You know, do you mind if I stay in touch with you? Perhaps you might know of somebody else if I do have a listing coming up. And whatever the reason, whatever excuse you want to give them, just get their name and their address and their phone number, because 5 years from today, they will sell.
You got it.
And if you stay in touch with them continuously, consistently, they will call you.
Because you just said that, I'm sure that a couple people watching are going to think, well, you know, what do you, your advice is to stay in touch. What do you do to stay in touch? So you still have a print newsletter
Yes.
that
Yeah.
you swear by,
Yes.
which I think is really,
Yeah, I
really
still do.
cool. So
Are you
tell me
using Morse
about that.
marketing or what are
No,
you using?
no.
You may-
From day one, when CIR first started, the mail-out system,
Yes.
we used to do it on a monthly basis, 12 times a year. And so our database, you know, was about 300, 350. It started growing. Today we have a database of 1,200.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so we still continued on a monthly basis. Every month, 1,200 newsletters would go out with stuff, seal,
And did you
and drop
make
it
your
off.
own
Yeah.
newsletters?
Yes.
Who made them?
We made our
Who
own
wrote them?
newsletter.
Did you?
We wrote our own newsletters, and we used CIR Realty Market Watch at the time.
Oh, so
yes.
our preferred client our today's
That's right, which is
preferred
what we
client
call
update.
preferred.
Yeah.
It used to be market watch.
That's right.
before.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So we send that, and then we would send something else, be it depending, let's say if it was a cancer month or something. So something to do with that particular time of the year. Easter, whatever it is, you know, write up something about that time. And so that was on a monthly basis. And so when CIR went to every 2 months, we continued that with monthly basis. And we still do that, 1,200 letters
And
every month.
do you use the preferred client update?
Yeah, I still send that every month.
That's what you send out every
every
no
month.
way.
Every month we send that out
Outstanding.
along with something that we just find in. There's so much stuff you can find on Google and things like that. So yeah, we do that.
And does that, and you know, they say with print marketing that to get something back from your print marketing efforts, you need consistency for a few years before someone. But now I bet
25 years.
gosh, that you've been doing the exact same thing.
One most expensive marketing budget, I guess, of our marketing budget is that.
You must have been upset when stamps went up. Do you remember
Oh,
when
good
stamps
Lord.
went up?
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I-
40 cents, now they're like $1 each.
That would have been huge.
Oh yeah,
for that
it is.
type of
Yeah.
volume.
So then you just go to Costco and buy a roll of.
That's right.
But actually, what we do is we just go to our post office by the Northeast office. We just drop off all our mail there, and they just stamp. They just stamp it. And
I love how you've been doing the same thing for so long.
Sa-
That's
same thing.
fabulous.
You know, so last year I could say probably one of my, not the worst year, but one of the lowest years I've had in a long time. 70% of my business last year was from referrals out of my database. 70% of my business last year was from my database.
Because you're good to them.
You stay in touch.
And you had other things in your life that were going on and things like that. So,
Yes.
I mean, that's
correct.
exactly. But
70%, yeah.
so now, and would you say that's consistent? Like this year, what do you expect? And your busy years, you know, 2014,
So
things like that. What
we're in the
percentage?
month of January. I have 8 deals on the table already, and 5 of them are from my database.
Awesome. What would the other 3 be made up of? Sign calls? things
Yeah,
like
the
that?
other was a referral from other clients, past
Perfect.
past clients.
Oh, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you actually.
Don't have any new clients.
So when we said
you don't
repeat
include
referral.
repeat referral in your database.
That's referral from the
Love that.
referral from our database.
I tell people all the time, I said, your
Yeah,
sphere of
stay in
influence
touch.
in
Stay in
database,
touch.
and then referral systems are something different because now
Yes.
people are track them differently.
Yeah, but stay in touch. And one other little tidbit I'll tell you is, we have to write our own contract numbers.
Yeah.
So my contract number is always the last name of the client and the number of transaction that family. And the last one I just did was number 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's how you keep track of the
That's
business
how
that comes.
how I've done with that client.
That is
Number
clever.
17 in one family. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Immy,
Amy, thank you.
we can't thank you enough
Oh,
for
it's-
coming on, and
it's an honor
you've
and a
given back in
pleasure.
the past. And I got to say, we need to, the fact that you're willing to do this and stuff like that is, we need to make use of that, and I
Wow,
really appreciate that.
Actually, it's an honor and a pleasure that you asked me. I feel very, very humbled.
Cool.
Aw, thank
Cool.
you, Immy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Immy, thank you so much. We really hope you guys enjoyed that. Can take a few things away, and we look forward
Yeah.
to the next time we're together.
Thanks, everybody. See
Thanks.
you.